Over 115,000 people made the decision to quit their federal government job last year. Why did they leave? Well, there are two main reasons, and it's clear if you look at this chart here. The main people that are quitting are either under 30 years old or over 60 years old. The older people are leaving mainly because they're retiring. They're eligible for retirement. In the federal government, a lot of people can retire at the age of 57. Either 57, 60, or 62. Those are the most common ages. That's for your pension. A lot of people have hundreds of thousands of dollars saved up within their thrift savings plan. There are thousands of federal employees that were able to become millionaires because of the contributions they've made over decades to their thrift savings plan, their TSP. It's one of the greatest benefits that the federal government offers their employees. Now, the second group of people, they're younger. So these people, they have less than 5 years in the government and they decide it's not a good cultural fit. They're not getting paid enough. They see their friends, they see their peers on the outside making a lot more money than what they're making. A lot of people that first enter into the government, let's say they're younger, out of university, they're coming in GS7, GS9, maybe if they're lucky GS11. And GS7, GS9, they don't pay that well, especially if you compare it to the private sector. So what ends up happening is they stay 2 or 3 years and they decide, this isn't it. I'm going to go ahead and jump for a better opportunity, which looks like a better opportunity from the outside. But what ends up happening is they never do their 5 years. So they're never fully vested into a pension. Now, they can come in later, let's say 20 years later, when they realize that the private sector isn't as great as they thought. They can come on back into the public sector and they can pick up where they left off. But you need to do at least 3 years in the competitive service to earn a tenure so that you can apply as a federal government employee. If you do not do those 3 years, then you're going to end up applying like everybody else. Open to the public is going to be your only path. The federal government really doesn't have that many younger people in its workforce. Only 7.5% of the entire workforce is younger than 30 years old. I've been in offices where the youngest individual that was a federal employee was 40 years old. That was the youngest. The people in their 20s and 30s, those were contractors. They were not federal employees. Why are younger people gravitated to the private sector? Why would they want to be a contractor? One of the main reasons, let's take pay out of it. Go ahead and put pay to the side. It's the hiring process. Who wants to wait, sit on their hands for 4 months or longer, waiting on a convoluted hiring process? Younger people do not. Nobody really wants to do it, but the older people have a little bit more patience. How does someone even figure out that federal government jobs is an option? It's usually through friends and family. If you don't know somebody in the government, the chances are it's not registering in your head that it's even a feasible, realistic opportunity for you to pursue. And this is one of the reasons why people say you have to know somebody to get in. Because people who get government jobs, they happen to know somebody. But it's not necessarily nepotism that's working in their favor. They're just realizing that this is an opportunity and now they're putting their energy and effort into applying and trying to get the government job. All right, so people with 5 to 19 years in the federal government, they saw the lowest attrition rate. These are people that are already fully vested in the federal pension. And every year you do after 5, you're increasing your pension amount. So when you first hit the 5-year mark, your pension could be worth $300, $400, $500 a month, depending what GS grade you're at currently. But then you go to year 6, year 7, you hit your 10-year mark, you could double your pension amount. And it keeps increasing. You're getting promoted. You're reaching new GS grades. You started as a GS11, now you're a GS14. That makes a huge difference in your pension. So people are willing to commit and stay. In the 5 to 19 year range, they're willing to ride it out. Now, even though we've been seeing a lot of people leave the federal government, even more have been joining. If you look, we've had over 200,000 people join the government over the last year. Almost half of them are at entry level. And 75% of them are over 30 years old. That's right. The federal government has been hiring more this year. A lot of people are in disbelief because they've been looking at USAJobs.gov. They have their filters for locations and not that many jobs have been popping up. That just means the jobs are not where you're at. If you look at USAJobs.gov right now, you're going to see about 10,000 government jobs open to the public and over 20,000 jobs open for federal employees. The big three federal agencies that have been doing the most hiring over the past 12 months, you're looking at DOD, Veteran Affairs, and the IRS. And this is evident because of the amount of hiring events they do pretty much every week. And if you're not getting the list of the hiring events, then sign up to the free newsletter down below. I push out virtual hiring events that are happening every single week. But these federal agencies doing all this hiring, it doesn't do much good to you unless they're in your area. The federal government has a solution to this. They're going to help you move. They do this by two different ways. The first one is a recruitment incentive. This is money that they give you once you sign the job offer. They're providing up to tens of thousands of dollars if you have the right skill set. You can search on USAJobs.gov, recruitment incentive. A lot of their positions, you will find they have recruitment incentives. Number two is the relocation reimbursement, meaning you pay upfront to move to them, and on the back end, they're going to cover it. They're going to cover transportation expenses. They're going to cover the expense it takes for you to ship your car or to go ahead and look for a home in that area. They're going to cover it to a certain amount, so you can look at that as well. Now, the number of people quitting the federal government, this is being considered attrition. And what else goes into attrition? We talked about people retiring. We talked about people quitting. But there's something else that factors into it, and that's people getting terminated. And a lot of people don't think this can happen. You can get terminated a lot of different ways. It's easier if you're in your probationary period. That's the first 12 months, usually. When you get a federal government job, the first 12 months you're on probation. Sometimes it could be 24 months. During this time, you're an at-will employee. Another way that this can happen is poor performance. That means you've been at the job, let's say 5, 6, 7, 10 years, but you're not performing to standard. You're placed on a PIP, a performance improvement plan. HR does this with your supervisor, and then they track your performance. And if you're not able to meet the standard, you can also get terminated for that. Now, if you get terminated for something like that, do not let it completely discourage you, because there is a chance that you can apply to another federal agency and you can get hired. This has happened to dozens of people. They get fired. Usually it's a personality conflict. They don't get along. They don't see eye to eye with their supervisor. They get terminated. The SF-50, it's going to reflect that you were terminated. But you can then apply to another federal agency, maybe same job series, maybe different job series. They're going to look at your application and how you interviewed, and you could potentially get another job offer. You can still work for the federal government. Across the country right now, the unemployment rate, it's a little bit over 4%, so it's still kind of low. Usually a healthy rate is between 3 and 5%. But what will happen if that rate exceeds 5%? Let's say it goes to 5.5%, 6%. Well, there's going to be more people competing for the same jobs. And stability and security within a job will be valued higher, meaning there could be easily more competition than there is right now. And right now, depending on where you live, there could be a lot of competition. I know certainly for remote jobs, if you've been looking for a 100% remote work job, you will see that over 1,000 people apply to most of those jobs. If you live in DC and you're applying to certain agencies, you can see that hundreds of people are applying. But if you're in a smaller area, maybe there's less competition. It really depends based on the job announcement. Like, take for example, 1000, that's graphic designer. How many graphic designers are applying to work for the federal government? There are some jobs out there where they only receive 3 or 4 applications, even though it is in Washington, D.C., and 20% of federal jobs are in the D.C. area. So do not just think that all government jobs have hundreds of applicants or all jobs have thousands of applicants. It really depends, and it changes based on each job announcement in each location. Now, if you are interested in federal government jobs, you probably have a lot of questions on your mind about the federal hiring process, about USAJobs.gov. I did a live stream recently. I answered over a dozen questions. A lot of these questions, they could be on your mind. If you're interested in that, I want you to watch this video next. If you would like to see more videos like this, please click like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.